Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to this fantastic International Women's Day.
Yay.
Well, we're so happy to welcome you. We've got some fantastic speakers. We've got our project that we're launching today. And also, if you remember last year, what a fantastic event we had in the same building that we have actually moved into now, in the arts wing of the Grand Theatre. So we had over 100 people last year. I don't know how many are going to be watching us today, but I'm going to ask Aissatou, our fantastic Senegalese drummer and dancer, just to do a couple of minutes drumming to get us into the mood. So Aissatou, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy International Women's Day to all, and I'm very happy to be part of this and to represent my country, Senegal. And hopefully, I'm going to do the introduction just for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes. Then at the end, we're going to do some movement dancing to go together. I hope it's okay, Jill. Is that okay?
Are you going to do that now, or are you going to do it later? Because we're running a wee bit late. Later, okay.
Yeah, later, yeah.
We'll fit you in at the end then, Aissatou. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pass over to Patience Bentu, who is originally from Nigeria, and Patience is going to recite a poem for us, and I'm going to let her introduce that. So over to you, Patience.
Thank you very much, Jill. Hi, everyone, and my name is Patience Bentu. I'm the Community Engagements Officer for Race Council Cymru, and I'm also starting up a small business of my own called Pay Talks, which is simply a talk show which provides a platform to wonderful women like yourselves, to talk about your careers and the wonderful things that you're doing in the community. And isn't it just timely on a day like this that we should celebrate who we are as women? I grew up in Nigeria in a society where women, or rather women's voices, were not important. In a lot of the cultures in Nigeria, women were only to be seen, but not to be heard. Women were like, or still are in some cultures, like decorative pieces, only to be shown off or showed off by their husbands. And so it was very difficult growing up. And for many years of my life, I think I really didn't know who I was. And I didn't even come to discover who I was until much later in my adult life. I found that I had to struggle through life. I had to struggle through an environment to get whatever it was or achieve whatever it was that I set out to achieve for myself. And so it was a very difficult journey. And I think that journey resonates with many of us women, coming from very difficult patriarchal societies where it was all about struggle. And so for many years of my life, and I always tell the stories of my lived experience, I wondered who I was, first as a woman, and then even as a Black woman. And only recently, and recently is only a few days ago, when a friend of mine on Facebook shared something to my page. And as I read through the words, I knew that those words were exactly who I was. They were descriptive of the woman that I was, or still am. And this friend of mine, Oyi Ladipo, I give him credit for these words that I'm about to read because they are his words, but they describe who exactly the Black woman is. Often misunderstood. That is the Black woman. Adjectivized with words like angry, sometimes strong, sometimes even aggressive or bully. I'm sure most of you would have heard those words said. The Black woman, objectified by her generous curves, overlooked for her bounteous brain. The Black woman, historically voiceless, as you heard me say at the start of my speech. In contemporary times, silenced. The Black woman, a bearer everywhere of burdens, metaphoric and real. Does that speak something to someone here? The Black woman, a voice needing to be heard, a heart crying for understanding. Why won't they just understand us? Surely it can't be that difficult. The Black woman, the forgotten source of all that is good and right. And finally, my friend Oyin closes up by saying, the Black woman, it's time, way past time, I would add, to speak out for the woman of Black color. And once again, I give those credits back to my friend Oyin Oladipo. He has helped me describe myself so vividly that the world would see. But it goes beyond the Black woman. It's every woman. And I soon came to realize that as I went along my journey of life, that the same problems that I faced in my society are still the same problems that every woman in every society around the world is facing even today. And so as we celebrate International Women's Day with the theme, Choose to Challenge, and I have tweaked that theme to say, don't just to choose to challenge. Yes, it is good to choose to challenge, but dare to challenge those structures and systems that discriminate against women. And as you choose to challenge, as you dare to challenge, remember who you are, don't forget it. Remember that as a woman, you are a phenomenal woman. And so I'm going to wrap up this talk by sharing the great Maya Angelou's poem, Phenomenal Woman. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies, and this is me, a phenomenal woman. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips and the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. Look at it. I am a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please. And to a man, the fellows stand or fall on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say it's in the fire in my eyes and the flash of my teeth, the swing of my waist and the joy in my feet. I am a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. So I say it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breasts, the grace of my style. I'm a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need of my care. 'Cause I'm a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Each day as you go along and as you choose to challenge, don't forget the words of this poem by Maya Angelou, because that is who you are, a phenomenal woman. Happy Women's Day to all the women out there.
Patience, that was fantastic. And I just want to say to all women here who are watching, who are part of the presentation, you are all phenomenal. Remember, please do remember that. Thank you so much, Patience. I don't think we're going to forget you or those poems that you recited. Thank you again. So now I'm going to put my so-called Russian hat on, and you may be wondering why. Well, we're about to launch our Crowning Glory project. So for that, I am going to pass on to, I think, probably first of all, Amanda and Mary and Nyla. So one of you, please, can you tell our audience what all this is about? Thank you.
Hi, so got our hats on. We're really delighted to be here today to launch a collaborative art project with the Swansea African Community Centre and University of Wales Trinity and David. And the project is, it's going to be a series of workshops where participants can engage to explore headdresses, headwear, head adornments and hats. And we're using that theme to choose to challenge stereotypes and assumptions about identity, about class, about race, and about socio and economic backgrounds and who we are and shared experience. So it's a really exciting project. It forms part of a portfolio of projects that University of Wales Trinity and David is running this year at the Swansea College of Art that opens doors to university and helps create pathways and supported entry to the possibility to study at higher education. The project's going to be a lot of fun. Because of COVID, we're having to do a lot of delivery that's going to be online, which is going to be challenging but enjoyable. So participants will be able to take place in some face-to-face workshops and also with online workshops as well. And at the end of it, we're hoping to have an exhibition, which by the time we have our exhibition in July, we should be hoping to be able to do it face-to-face, so you can all get together and celebrate the artistic outcomes and the experience that we've had in running the project. We've got two fantastic artists who are running the project. We've got Mary and Nyla, and I'm going to hand over to them so they can tell you a little bit about their work, about their practice, and what they're going to be doing. So I'll go over to Mary first.
Hi folks, I'm Mary or Mary. I'm known by both names and I don't mind either at all. And I've been doing this for a long time now, my own art and working with other people, teaching, running workshops all over the place with all sorts of people, all ages, all abilities, all backgrounds. and I love it. So it's really exciting to be involved in this project. And I just thought, I'm really looking forward, because I think that it's a project that people can join if they've had art experience before or not a lot of art experience before, because we take them through the process, and it's really good. And we have the facilities at the college we can use, and yes, it'll be really, really interesting for all sorts of people to join in. I've just brought a few, as it's International Women's Day, I thought I'd show a few little pieces of art I've done which are related to women. So this is the first one. First of all, I'll put my gun in. I bought this off a lady who was selling fish on the quayside in Ghana. And it actually does, it keeps you cool as well as keeping the sun off. It's amazing. It comes out in Wales about twice a year. So today's an extra special occasion. So this is a painting I did when I got back from Ghana. This shows better than sketches. This is the quayside in Elmina. All these loads of fishing boats. It's painted on an old piano. And this is a lady actually wearing the hat. Can you see that? And there's a big bowl of fish there. And then in this, another hat there. And then that's me, sitting here doing my drawing. I did myself in it as well. So that's the first one. So I think that I love the sun hat. So this project can involve scarves and hats, all sorts of things. And we'll also probably be playing with the idea of making scarves into different shapes as well. So lots of different aspects to it. Is it time for me to show a few more things? Mm-hmm. That all right? Yeah. I do. I love drawing and painting people. And during the Zoom sessions, I've been drawing people. I've got a big pile of the African Community Centre ones here. And also a few of these show better on the Zoom. This is a painting of Ganymede. I don't know if any of you know Ganymede. Yeah? She came to sit for me in the art gallery. She was very nice. And this is a lady called Sohaila, a Kurdish girl who's married to Hedi, who is a barber on High Street. But thought they'd show quite well today. And I'll just briefly show you the ones. These are the ones from last year, the International Women's Day real life event. So they are actually finished now, ready to go up. So that was one of them, and this is the other one. So I'll have to bring them down to go up on the wall. Oh, yes, please. That's the second one there.
Oh, fantastic.
So they were done by all sorts of people last year, and I just brought them home to add some finishing touches to. So they're all ready to go on the wall now. Just one other thing I'll show you. I fill sketchbooks with drawings all the time, and they don't show so well on Zoom. The other thing I've been doing, especially since I've done a lot of them over the years with the community, but I've been doing a bit more since lockdown, is mosaic making. I've been using little bits I found. I've been going for walks, and this is one I made on a teapot which I dug up in Pembrokeshire. I was down in Pembrokeshire looking after an elderly relative, and this is actually an old metal teapot which was completely squashed and rusty. But what I loved, all these things were found. I found this little character here, which has got a hat almost like a Welsh lady hat. So I thought I'd just put that on. So that I thought, as it's hat related, I would share that today. Okay. Over to Nyla, I think now, is it?
Yes, please, Nyla.
Right.
Nyla, are you there?
So yeah, as I mentioned, specialize. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Nyla. Oh, yes, there she is. There we are. Oh, beautiful hat.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I specialize in hand-printed textiles and gold work embroidery. So I will show you a little piece that I made for International Women's Day.
Oh,
It's
beautiful.
embroidered in gold work and in the wood, so she did.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, I am looking forward to the project. I am very excited to be part. I'm excited.
Thank you, Nyla. And if you want to
Thank
be
you,
a
everyone.
part,
Thank you for the time.
thank you, Nyla. And just to let you know, if you want to be a part of this project, you can contact the African Community Centre in the first instance, and we will give you the links to Mary, to Nyla, and to Amanda. Places, I believe, are limited, so the sooner you contact us, the better. And we will be having the final exhibition, I'm sure, face-to-face live here in the Grand Multicultural Hub in the arts wing of the Grand Theatre, which is now our new home, which we're very proud of. So thank you so much, girls, for introducing the new project. So we're running, we're okay for time. We're running a wee bit late according to the schedule. And I think just before Arlene comes, I'm going to ask Ife Iwobi, if she'd like to just tell us a little bit about her new single. The single was launched on Saturday, and it was to celebrate and give thanks to our NHS workers and to those who sadly have passed away. And these artists on the single, they're all Black artists, and I am just so thrilled that young people would come together under the leadership of Ife to produce this, to say a big thank you. So Ife, I know we haven't got the single to play, sadly, today, but it is on Spotify and all sorts of platforms. So please, Ife, just say a couple of minutes about it, if you would. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ife Iwobi. I'm a pianist composer, and it is wonderful to be here to celebrate International Women's Day with all you lovely ladies around the world and in the African Community Centre and on Zoom. So thank you for having me. I have composed this piece called We Won't Forget, and I worked with 6 Black artists from Wales. We decided to work together to give back to the NHS, to what they've done to contribute to stopping this pandemic and halting and helping the community with to stop the pandemic once and for all. So I worked together with a number of artists, and we created the single in a matter of weeks, and it's been released on Saturday. We Won't Forget. It's kind of Afro-Caribbean Spanish style, so it is quite upbeat, but it is to those members of the NHS who have done so much for our community, and even commemorating those who have died due to COVID-19. So please do check it out. It's on Spotify, and I think we do have the single to have a listen to from the IT side. So that's fantastic. A little bit of a sample. So if we can get that, so you can have a sample, you can download it on Spotify too. And there is a contribution to the NHS. We're planning to raise £2,000. We've already raised from family and friends. So thankful for your generous contributions. We've already raised 1,200 in a matter of 5 days. So I am so grateful to everyone who has just been wonderful and fabulous to the cause of NHS. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, that deserves a round of applause to everyone. Thank you so much. And let's keep on going. We've only got a few £100s left. I will put the links in the chat So you can have a look at the single and the GoFundMe page. But for now, let's listen to We Won't Forget, featuring these lovely Black artists from Wales. Thank you very much.
Ife, can I just
Yes.
come in there? I think we're going to play out with the single.
Okay.
That was our plan. So I've asked Taiwo to get it ready for the end of the programme. So thank you so much, Ife. It is a fantastic number. It's so, you want to just repeat. So yes, do listen to it, please, and donate. I'm getting very hot in this hat, I've got to say, but I'll keep it on for a little bit longer. So it's with great pleasure that I want to introduce Arlene Small. This is the first time I've met Arlene face to face, kind of across a screen. And the idea came from the fact that I know that even for women, the profession of barrister is still a challenge. And my own daughter took up the profession to go to the bar many, many years ago. And that's what gave me the idea. I know how hard it was for her in a largely white male arena, if you like. And so I thought, oh, let's have a look if we can find somebody from an ethnic minority background, hopefully from an African background. And so put the call out for somebody to respond. And I'm so grateful to Arlene for responding and coming today to speak to us about the challenge and her journey. So thank you so much, Arlene. And we have allowed a little bit of time for some questions. So please get your thinking caps on and challenge Arlene with some questions. So over to you, Arlene.
Okay. Well, I was just looking at the time. Good afternoon, everybody. I've just seen that I think there might be some technical issues with the broadcast, so I do hope you can hear me loud and clear. As has already been said, my name is Arlene, and I am, like all the women on this platform, just so pleased to be here and to say happy International Women's Day to us all. It feels a bit like a setup because we've had all this creative stuff. We've had drumming and hats and a designer teapot from Mary, and now we're going to talk, about the law. But the law can be creative as well, and I absolutely love being a barrister. I've been a barrister for over 20 years, and my specialism is family law. I qualified back in 1997 and became a practicing barrister in 1998. So in 1997, I was what they called to the bar. And that doesn't mean that people call you out to have a drink and have a nice social gathering. The bar is basically the formal institution that barristers have to belong to. And you have to go through a lot of ceremony, as you can imagine, and a lot of ritual in order to be called. And then eventually they call your name on a particular day and you get to dress up in fancy dress. So it is a bit creative. And I've got a few of the items that I would normally wear. Well, I don't wear now, but wore at the time. So the one that most people are familiar with is... Sorry about that, is the wig. I'm going to put this on now. Just bear in mind, I've not worn this for a while, so I hope that I don't look too ridiculous. So this is probably how most people's image of a barrister is like this, and it's sort of in keeping with the hats as well, I think. So there's me. So normally you'd wear this with the bands and a gown. In fact, it's quite warm. I'm with Jill on this, so I'm just going to leave the wig on for now. But just so that you can see. And this wig is made of horsehair. And the idea is that you never clean this wig. The idea is to make it get really old and grotty looking, so you look more experienced as a barrister. Mine doesn't look so grotty. I don't wear it that often because we don't use them so much in the family courts. But if COVID wasn't with us, one of the things that I do like to do when I give these talks is give some people the opportunity to perhaps see what they look like with the wig on, but obviously in these times we can't do that sort of thing anymore. But that's basically the main, if you like, part of the barrister's attire that we wear. So as far as my experiences are concerned, as you can see, I'm a Black woman. My family actually hail from Jamaica, so I'm from the African Caribbean contingent. But there is a lot of overlap, I think, in experiences with a lot of Black and other ethnic minority groups coming to the bar. We are a minority within the bar. We still remain a significant minority in the bar. There's about 17,000 barristers that are qualified, and of those barristers, only 37% are women. So not even half, not anywhere near half. And in terms of Black and ethnic minorities, it's 13%. So we're still, it's still a very low number. And I have to say that when I came to the bar, it wasn't something that I even thought about. I just knew it was something that I wanted to do. I've always wanted to be a barrister. There was a brief fleeting moment when I thought about being a dancer, and another brief moment where I thought about being a nun. And then I thought, dancing nun, sister act, here we go. But my passion has always been being a barrister, because I really believe in advocating for others. I am totally opposed to any kind of injustice, any kind of scenario where people feel that they don't have a voice or that they feel oppressed. And for women, that is more so true. Particularly with some of the challenges that have already been shared, particularly by Patience in her fantastic talk and poem that we heard earlier. So being a barrister just seemed the logical way for me to be able to speak out against that. That and the fact that I do love a good debate, I do love a good argument. So my mum will tell me. So it all seemed to fit together quite nicely. I love the theme of this conference as well, choose to challenge, and I love Patience's spin on it, dare to challenge as well. I think it makes it clear that challenging situations are going to exist, and you essentially have to choose how you deal with them. You can choose to overcome them, or you can choose to let them overcome you. And I believe it is a choice that we all have, not an easy one. And I totally understand and have experienced some of those challenges myself. But I think as women, we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our children to continue to rise and to continue to fight and to continue to overcome those things that would seek to hold us back. So when I was deciding to qualify to become a barrister, or deciding to become a barrister, what was interesting was I can look back now and say that there were honestly more people who told me not to do it than they were telling me to do it. And that goes to things like careers advisors would tell me not to do it. People at job centres, you know, because I wanted some work experience, would say, absolutely no way should you be going into that profession. And the main issue was that you will not make it. That's what I was told. And B, they don't want you to make it. And I never found out who the they were, but there was always a they out there who was, you know, who did not want you to make it. And I think at that point, the more people told me that I could not do it, the more determined I became to do it. And this goes back to this idea of choice. I made a quality decision at that point to become a barrister, and that was it. And I say quality decision because we make decisions all the time. I mean, you get up in the morning, am I going to have cornflakes or Cocoa Pops, or, you know, am I going to wear my hair up or down, or my favorite, you know, one slice of chocolate cake or two. So there are always choices, but the quality ones are the ones that shape our destinies. The quality choices are the ones that can impact our future. And so that decision that I made to become a barrister has, I mean, the ripple effects have been incredible, even being asked to speak at an event like this, because at the time, again, I unfortunately, I was quite naive in not realizing what a difficulty my colour and my gender would be for a lot of people, mainly in terms of perception. So, for example, I'm sure some of you will have read very recently, probably in the last few months, about Alexandra Wilson, a young female Black barrister who went to court to represent her client and was mistaken for the defendant, was mistaken for a member of the public, I think, and a member of the journalistic team, but never once was she approached as a barrister. And just her story uncovered so much history in terms of things that had happened, certainly my experience and other barristers' experiences. And it reminded me very recently of a situation where I was on a family case. As is customary, there's a particular row where barristers sit as they're presenting their cases. And I sat there waiting to present the case, and my client sat in the public area. But the legal advisor who was running the court spoke directly to my client and asked her to introduce the case, because even though she wasn't sitting in the barrister's row and I was, it didn't dawn on her that I was the barrister, that I could be sitting in that row ready to present the case. And she approached she spoke direct to my client, and my client had to correct her and say, no, actually my barrister's over there. Sitting in the barrister's row, that the section where the barristers sit. So it's about people's perception of what they expect. I have been mistaken for the usher of the court again, while standing next to a barrister who was another female but happened to be white. My husband shared an experience with me where, when he was talking about what I do for a living, he was asked if I was white. Because again, the possibility that he could be married to a barrister who was Black didn't dawn on my husband's colleague. So the biggest challenge really is people's perception of you. It's their expectations of you, and also their expectations of your capabilities, because sometimes when you're at work and you're presenting your case, or you're going to court, there is an element of, well, why are you here? Why are you presenting this case? Why is someone more senior not presenting it? Why is someone other than yourself not presenting this case? And it's so important when you're in this role to know that, yes, I deserve to be here. Yes, I've done all my studying, I've worked hard, I've qualified, I have the experience to be here. And you almost end up having to overcompensate as a woman and as a Black woman to make your presence felt in an arena which often doesn't expect you to be there. There was a documentary recently on Channel 4 called The Talk, and some of you again might have seen this documentary, and it talked about the experiences of Black parents in particular who had to have a discussion with their children, preparing them for the world of racism they were going to meet. And the question was, is this a discussion that happens in any other household other than those of Black and ethnic minority groups, that children have to be prepared to meet racism head on, or that to meet the fact that expectations of you will be lower, that your expectations of you in terms of your education will be lower, expectations of you in terms of what your social class is going to be lower, what you're expected to achieve is going to be lower. And I'm sad to say that as a parent, I've had to have that talk with my daughter. So even though she sees that her mother works in an industry that is a profession, I've had to prepare her for the fact that if this is where she wants to be, and I'd love her to follow in my footsteps, although her dad's career is a lot more interesting. He's a musician, so she's obviously not looking at me at all. But if she did want to follow in my footsteps, I've prepared her for the fact that she's going to have to work twice as hard to achieve what it is that she wants to achieve. The other thing that I try to do, and this is in a sense passing down, if you like, to the younger generation, I make sure I take my daughter to events that the bar organises, not now obviously because of the situation we're in, but I would take my daughter to bar events where she would you know, we'd be in fantastic grounds in the Inns of Court in central London, if anyone's had a chance to be there. And I would take her to those places and say, this is where you can belong. This is, you know, don't ever feel that there's somewhere where you can't go, or don't let anybody make you feel as if you can't go here, or because of the color of your skin, this is a world that's shut off to you. And in terms of, you know, looking around the landscape, yes, very, very few Black and ethnic minority barristers were present. The majority were white, majority were male, and that is just the landscape of the bar. And I know that the bar is trying. I don't want to leave people with no hope. The bar is trying to increase its diversity. The bar is trying to encourage, I mean, even talks like this, hopefully encourage, you know, somebody listening to make an approach to the bar, whether it's a first career or second career. You know, we have mature people coming back to the bar as well. But yes, there are those disadvantages, there are those challenges that we face. Just in terms of, if you like, my current experience, what I am finding though is that there is a whole raft of women who is coming through now at the higher ends of the profession. So becoming silks, for example, QCs as you might know them, becoming judges. I mean, personally, I know of at least 5 women. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 5 that I know personally that are making those strides. And it's just so tremendous to be able to celebrate them and to be able to celebrate with them. And I know that when I was qualifying, I did a small, what's called a mini pupillage. In order to qualify as a barrister, you have to do a pupillage of about 12 months. But mini pupillages allow you know, mainly students to come along and see what life is like at the bar. And I'm so grateful to those senior barristers who took me under their wing and said, you know, come along and look at this, and, you know, just put me in that environment so that I could just, you know, feed my love of the law and feed my love of being at the bar. I take heart in the fact that even that we're having this event, that there is an acknowledgement of how powerful we women are, and of how dynamic we are. And I've no doubt that the bar will eventually be a place where women will not feel that they have to, you know, fight and claw and prove themselves all the time, or that women from backgrounds such as mine, you know, feel that they have to or face the sorts of discrimination and the incidences that I have experienced, in terms of people mistaking you for just not being a barrister just because of the colour of my skin and because of my gender. And I just thought, just in rounding up, before I know you've got some questions, the things that I suppose, pointers or tips, things that have helped me, that I tell myself or have told myself over the years, because as I say, the challenges will always exist, and it's really what you choose to do with them. And so I've said, you know, have a strong sense of your own identity. Just know who you are. Don't try to be anybody else. I mean, you know, when you're at the bar, it is full of actors and actresses at times, you know, and there's this thing that you have to speak a certain way, you have to carry yourself a certain way. You can be the best you that you can be. Nobody else can. And that's what I choose to hold on to. Not only having a strong sense of my identity, but just being fearless. Don't let anybody intimidate you. Don't let anybody let you feel that you are less than or beneath or anything like that. Even if, you know, when I go to court, even if I'm up against somebody who is senior to me or seems to have more experience than me, I just think, right, you know, I'm here to do my job, and I'm going to be fearless about it. I'm going to be tenacious about it. And that is something that I would really encourage and stand by. Know that you have the intelligence and the capacity. If you're at the bar, then you're there because you have that intelligence, you have that capacity to do the job. So, you know, I remember somebody making a point to me, well, you know, if you knew this, or if you knew that, or if you'd have been here as long as I have. And I said, I'm sorry, but it's not about the age, it's about the level of experience. And I'm sure I've read the same books that you've read. And that was the end of the conversation, because essentially the information is available to everybody. It's not a question of, you know, I don't you know who I am, as it were. you know, I've been at the bar since, you know, the Lord said, let there be light, or whatever. Yes, experience has a large part to play, but the reality is that this is information that is available to everybody. And so we all have that level of intelligence and the capacity to do the job, if that's what you want to do. Hard work is a basic one, but it stands true. Be prepared to work. The bar is not the place for coasting, you know, because you'll be found out. You will be found out when you get to court and you don't know what you're doing. You'll be found out. So hard work is incredibly important, and a good work ethic. Be polite to people, be decent to people, no bullying and that sort of thing. These are things that for me are sort of my golden rules, and I treat every case as if I was the client. So what would I want my representative to do for me, particularly in the area of family law, which can be so fraught with stress and everything else. You know, you want to lower the temperature of your client, not raise the temperature, as it were, in terms of levels of pressure. And just on your journey, you know, be prepared to graft. I mean, when I was studying to become a barrister, I did get a scholarship for some of the fees which inevitably follow when you do study, but there wasn't a job that I thought, I'm not going to do that. I cleaned, I worked in a canteen, I worked in a supermarket packing shopping bags at the end of the checkout. I worked in a hairdresser's, sweeping up hair and doing shampooing, anything that I needed to do to basically achieve my dream. And so you've got to be prepared to graft to, you know, until such a time as, you know, the work that you do starts to pay its rewards. So I think those are probably, hopefully, some practical things that will encourage you, that when you choose, you know, to overcome your particular challenge, that you'll be able to do so successfully. So thank you very much for listening, and I know there's some questions and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arlene, for telling us about your experience, the challenges that you faced. And, you know, it's not just women from ethnic minority backgrounds who have come across that almost unconscious bias in the court, I think. I read about QC Leslie Thomas, who also came up against that same pressure and discrimination, I suppose we call it. So thank you so much. I wanted to quickly ask you, Arlene, how can we present this profession to young people in school? Do you ever get that opportunity? Because it's something we've been thinking about doing going forward. I wondered, have you any experience of that?
Yes, two experiences, not in terms of only two, but in terms of two ways in which it's happened. There is a Speakers for Schools programs, which you can find out about from, and I think all the inns, so it's Middle Temple, Inner, Lincolns and Greys. They all have officers who have dealings with schools. So there's a scheme called Speakers for Schools, and you basically contact them, and then they will provide you with the names of barristers who are willing to come into schools and share a talk. There's also the school moot competition, which used to happen, where basically schools would compete against each other. They'd be given a mock trial, so somebody would be on trial and they could act as defendants and they could act as prosecutors, and we used to donate our wigs and gowns so that these kids, it used to be hilarious because little children running around, the gowns dragging on the floor as they were going from place to place, and that used to actually happen in a courtroom. So one of the local courts would donate the court free on a Saturday for them to use, and then the kids, wow, they got the experience, as it were, of really being in a court case. And we'd have one of the barristers would act as the judge and would make a decision at the end as to, you know, which side had presented its case the best. So I think those are the two main ways that you know, the bar can be presented in schools.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's the kind of stuff that I personally really love to be involved in. So thank you for that. Arlene. I can see that, sorry, that's my phone. I can see that Amanda has a question. So Amanda, if you would like to ask that.
Hi, yes, I really enjoyed that. That was really inspirational and really interesting. And yeah, the projects you just described with the schools are really good, because obviously what we need are more role models, more people in those roles to encourage youngsters as well. But I was wondering if you've noticed or identified any changes you think that could be implemented in the bar that could facilitate a more supportive and more inclusive environment, because it is very male dominated, very masculine environment in the court. And I wondered if you think that there are any, what changes they could make.
I mean, I think it's a difficult one, because the bar as an institution sort of it sort of not necessarily runs itself, but it relies on its members to bring things to its attention. So I know that, for example, every chambers has an equality and diversity officer, and every barristers chambers is required to have policies which encourage equality and diversity. Something really simple that occurred to me, and I've, shame on me because I've not actually raised it at a level with people where something can happen. But we get a number of subscriptions as barristers. We have things like the Family Law Bar Association and Criminal Bar Association, and there are lots of publications that are put out as well. And what I notice is, when you look through these publications, whether they're produced by the Family Bar, or there's one called Council Magazine, which is essentially all about the bar, the images in those magazines is very white and very male. And even when there's been, for example, events where they're going to showcase a dinner or a party or something, if you look across the spectrum of photographs of who they've shot to promote these events, again, very white, very male. And the thing is, some of those events I've been at, and I've seen that there have been other people there. And I just think it would help if people opened a magazine and saw that there was a mix of people actually at these events, or the articles that are written, showcase that. I think that would make a difference. It's not something that I've, as I said, shame on me because I've not raised it with anybody, but I've thought about it for a long time. There's one of these books is called Family Affairs, and it promotes a weekend away it's called Cumberland Lodge, and it's a way of, again, barristers connecting, and there's a black tie dinner. And I remember looking at the pictures of this event, and there was not one black or Asian face. There were a few women, not as many as the men. There were a few women, but and I don't know where that comes from. I don't know whether there's an agenda, a subconscious agenda, or whether they're just told, look for this kind of, I don't know how it works, but I think that would go a long way of just visually showing that the bar is a place that welcomes all people and all genders.
So you feel like sometimes they're perpetrating these assumptions, even though that's not really reflective of what's going on and the changes that are happening.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Amanda, we didn't hear that comment that you made. I didn't hear that comment.
I just sort of summarised my understanding, so that sometimes what happens is that assumptions are perpetrated through things like this magazine that are showing a particular type of person who goes into the bar, into the law, when actually on the ground it's not necessarily reflective of what's happening. So if you can reflect, what is happening and the diversity of people who are actually already working in that profession, then it creates a visibility and can encourage other people to come into it. So I thought that was a really interesting point, and it's a good one to sort of check sometimes, isn't it? That we're not just continuing to generate the same assumptions.
Thank you, Amanda. And thank you for your question. I think that's really important, an important question, an important answer, that we can do stuff to make it more open. There is an air of kind of mystery around the bar and about court procedures, and it's quite fascinating, really, I think. Mary has a question for you, Arlene. She'd like to know where you are based.
You mean in terms of where I practice?
Yes, yeah.
Oh gosh, all over. I've actually been to Wales for a case. I've been to Merthyr Tydfil.
Oh, okay.
I was so proud of my trip to Merthyr Tydfil family court that I went to the local Tesco's and got one of your bags with a dragon on it, because I was just so thrilled to be there.
Oh, good for you.
So as barristers, I mean, we essentially travel everywhere. I mean, I've been up to Canterbury or down to Canterbury, depending on where you are, central London, Wales, as I said already, Manchester, Birmingham. I mean, the whole idea, as barristers are not, for example, joined to a law firm, for example, which is based in one place. Essentially, the phrase is have brief, will travel. So once somebody briefs you to do a piece of work, then you go to the area where that work is. I mean, I have to say that can sometimes be quite a challenge for women if you have families and so on, because obviously some of these journeys, like for example, traveling to Wales, I had to go from the night before to make sure that I could be there for court in the morning. And so that sometimes contributes to a lot of women leaving the bar. There was a study done on this, that actually by the time women start to have families, they make a choice and they choose family life, because traveling up and down the country at unsociable hours, whilst acceptable for men to do at times, you know, women are given the sort of leaving your family at home again, are we type talk from well-meaning friends and family, and so we end up staying home. But if you have a supportive partner or family members that can help you, as I do, then it means that you can travel. So I hope that answers your question, Mary.
I think, Arlene, it's fair to say that your actual chambers, your set is in London.
It's got offices in London, in Somerset and Taunton. Oh. There is one, I think, in Leeds and one in Manchester. So, but yes, there is an office in London as well.
So can you tell us the name so that we can look out for you?
Of course. It's called Clark's Room, CLERKSROOM.
Fantastic, thank you.
I'm what's called, as well as a practitioner in the strict sense of working with solicitors, I'm also what's called a direct access barrister. And the idea is to give members of the public effectively direct access to a barrister, whereas previously you had to go through a solicitor. And it's just a way of opening up the profession so that people can have hands-on legal advice from someone who can then represent them in the courtroom. So yeah, that's me. But Clark's Room is the name of my chambers.
Okay, thank you, Arlene. I think we've got time for one more question, and I want to ask my colleague Sibu, or at least Sibu is our fantastic general manager, and I think I'm probably going to ask the question for her actually. And the question is, how do you deal with those incidences of mistaken identity in the courtroom? That's an interesting one for you, Arlene.
Yes. At that moment, at that point in time, my priority is for my client. And I rather than thinking about how it affects me as a professional, I think about the fact, or prioritize the fact, that my client needs me to consistently represent them. And it goes back to what I was saying about family cases. Family cases are already very sensitive and fraught and stressful. And the last thing my client really needs is to be questioning a conversation that I'm now having with another professional person, because this was the legal advisor, about my role there, because that then seeps into their anxiety about the case. Or, you know, I've had a client say, oh, I don't think the judge likes you. How's that going to affect my case? The short answer is it shouldn't at all, because whether the judge likes me or not, or I've been mistaken for whoever or not is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. As a professional person, I'm there to, you know, uphold my client's case and to put it as forcibly and as reasonably as I can. So when that happened, I literally corrected the legal advisor, said, actually, I'm the barrister. And to be fair, I usually what follows is an I'm so sorry, or some sort of acknowledgement that they've made a mistake. And I can see normally in their eyes, they want me to move on as quickly as possible without highlighting that I've just uncovered their unconscious bias. And you know, I'm happy to do that. I mean, you know, we people make mistakes, and it's about hopefully next time she won't do that again, because she'll meet somebody else that looks like me and not make that assumption.
Well, you're very gracious, Arlene, I have to say. Fantastic. And I suppose you have to cover up maybe sometimes the feeling that you have inside about all of that. So that's great to hear how you have those skills and deal with that bias.
Yes, an extra slice of chocolate cake afterwards.
Yeah, that always works.
Always works.
Okay, so guys, it's 10 past 1 already. It's gone very, very swiftly. I think we're probably ready to hear if he's single, if Tyrell can get that going. I'm not sure if Aissatou is here to give us a massive drum roll. But first of all, I think I want to perhaps pass over to Sibu, who's going to just thank everybody for coming. And then we'll do the finale with our music, and just enjoy the rest of the day, everybody. So over to you, Sibu.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me all right? Okay, because we are sitting in the same office and sometimes there's a big echo, so I was just checking. So, wow, what an event, International Women's Day. It just goes to show how multifaceted women are. When we come together in our different strengths, we are able to move mountains. So thank you ever so much to the panel of our speakers who are here with me on Zoom. Aileen, thank you for that inspiring story, for your inspiring journey. And I love it. And I love your tenacity. When you were told by people that you're not going to make it, you shouldn't be doing it. And you were so determined to carry on. And that's the only way we got to witness your story today. So it's very powerful. Thank you for telling every woman out there, every young person out there, that you don't have to give in. You have to keep on persevering. You have to make that wise choice to keep going, to hold on to your dreams. So thank you very much. That was inspiring. Patience, phenomenal woman. That poem was awesome. Thank you very much for those words of Maya Angelou and for your friends' words as well you started with. Thank you so much for inspiring every woman out there with those words. And Mary, thank you so much for showing us, sharing with us your talent here, that teapot with a Welsh lady, and that Ghanaian hat, it suits you so much. So thank you very much for sharing your artistic pieces with us. And we're so much looking forward here at the ACC to that project which we have launched today with UWTSD. Amanda, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you so much for coming in partnership with us. We look forward to it, and we hope this is going to inspire so many people to come into art. And thank you so much, Naila, for that beautiful piece you have made wow, you are so talented. So thank you ever so much for that. And Ife, what can I say? Thank you so much to Ife, the young and upcoming musician. She's blazing it. Ife, you are awesome. That piece, I'm not going to take it away from her. You're just going to hear it. So I'm not
You're on mute, Jill.
You know exactly how I feel like. Wake up every morning, everything locked down like. My mother told me it gon' be right. Keep that positive energy, good fortune come by your side.
R.I.P. to the fallen, lost house to Corona, and we won't surrender. We gotta stay together.
Just make it through this. Mask on, sanitize, stay home, we'll do it. Mask on, mask off, mask off, mask on. I just know we gon' make it through. I just know, I just know.
Trailblazers, not done yet. Broke boundaries, we won't forget. Our elders earned respect. Life's cut short, but we won't forget. Trailblazers, not done yet. Broke boundaries, we won't forget. Our elders earned respect. Life's cut short, but we won't forget.
Try to stay positive in troubled times on road, but it's harder when you're losing friends, you know. I tell you it's a mad world we live in. Brothers all around us dying, mental health be kicking, but keep your head afloat, keep trying.
Better days are yet to come, so keep pushing, stay focused and don't give up.
Better days are yet to come, so keep pushing, stay focused, and don't give up.
Put it back on me and enjoy the
Trailblazers, not done yet. Broke boundaries and we won't forget. Our elders and respect. Life's cut short, but we won't forget. Trailblazers, not done yet. Broke boundaries and we won't forget. Our elders and respect. Life's cut short, but we won't forget.
In honor of all those who died in the COVID-19 pandemic, we won't forget you. NHS workers, frontliners, trailblazers, we won't forget. Trailblazers, not done yet. Broke boundaries, we won't forget. Our elders earned respect. Life's cut short, but we won't forget.
Trailblazers, not done yet. Broke boundaries and we won't forget. Our elders and respect. Life's cut short, we won't forget.
Trailblazers, not done yet. Broke boundaries we won't forget.
Our elders and respect. Life's cut short, but we won't forget.
Hello all, my name is Noah Ndike.
Is it me or can anyone else hear Jill?
No, she's on mute.
No,
You're on mute, Jill.
Yeah.
You're on mute.
You're on mute. Arlene, my mum used to work as a shorthand writer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she took it up in her mid-50s. Yeah, she went to Merthyr sometimes.
Oh, it was lovely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mostly in Swansea, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been
They
twice.
record it all now, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, different.
Is Jill? Oh, she's
Thank you, Jill and Sibu. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, ladies. It's been an
Wonderful
amazing
event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you all.
Yes, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Oh, thank you. I'm back. I'm so sorry. I thought Taiwo was cutting me off because he's fed up of hearing my voice, but that seems like it's not the case. But I am nevertheless, I'm back on, but just thank you so much. And I just especially want to say to Arlene, I'm going to link you with my daughter Arlene, because she also is family and she's been at the bar for as long as you have, and it would be just so nice for her to get to know you. So thank you, everybody. Next time we meet, hopefully it will be in our new centre. So, and maybe Arlene, you'll come down and see
Yes,
it.
I'd love to.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay.
My internet went.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Oh, that was good.